So, yeah, thank you all. I'll call the meeting to order, May 20th, 7:07 p.m., the School Building Committee here in Milton. As I do, typically do a roll call, so I'll call you out as I see you. Mark Loring.
Here.
All right. Carrie Hurley.
Here.
Akroy Baum.
Here.
Scott Tereshak.
Here.
Tim Lombard.
Here.
And Glenn Hoffman.
Here.
Perfect. So first thing on the agenda, so we have a brief agenda tonight, but it's kind of an important one and a detailed one. So I appreciate all you jumping on for this. The second thing on our agenda is new business and discussion approval, response letter to EEA regarding McGregor, Legier, and Stevens letter. So as many of you know, we received a letter from the attorneys on March 28th, who we were essentially copied for a letter that went to EEA. After speaking in discussions just in regards to the update on the land swap with Senator Tim Maltese, Chief of Staff, there was a question whether we would be responding to it. So we had our last meeting last Monday. I drafted a response that was sent out to everybody through the assistant town administrator, a new gentleman that started with the town. So, from that, I didn't receive any comments back. So I just opened it up to see if anybody had any commentary or anything looking to revise on the letter or anything like that. So if so, just use the raise your hand function or physically raise your hand if you don't know how to do it. Or speak out. Yep, Mark.
I just read through it. I had no edits. I thought it was well crafted and well stated. So appreciate all the work that went into putting it together.
Okay. Any other questions or comments regarding the letter? Essentially, we'll be sending it. If and when we approve it tonight, we'd send it over to the secretary probably tomorrow. Yeah, Carrie.
I also just wanted to say that I thoroughly read both documents and thought it was a great response. So no changes, no edits on my end.
Okay, thank you.
Agreed. I did not read it in details, but I read it quickly and I agree with Terry. I have no comments and I agree with the content.
All right, thank you, Akla. Tim, you were saying something? Or not?
Yeah, no, I was just saying that I agreed with what Carrie was saying. I did read through the letter, your response. I mean, nice job.
Can you say it again? It was kind of, the end of it was jumbled. I'm not sure if it was just my end or looking at Carrie's smile. I think it was on everybody's end.
No notes, Sean. I don't know if you can hear me.
Not that well. You're breaking up a little, Tim. So, yeah. So essentially, if there aren't any comments to it, I think the next step would be, basically making a motion to approve it and then, going to a vote, and then we can, send it over in the morning to the secretary. So.
I'll make a motion to approve the letter as written.
Okay. Second by Carrie. Any other further discussion? A lot of shaking heads, no. All right, cool. I'll run, because we're remote, we'll do a roll call vote. So Mark Loring?
Yes.
All right. Akla Bond?
Yes.
Carrie Hurley?
Yes.
Scott Tereshak?
Yes.
Tim Lombard.
Yes, and I'm raising my hand in case you can't hear me.
Yep, hear you loud and clear now. All right, and Glenn Hoffman.
Yes.
And Sean O'Rourke, yes. All right. Next thing on the agenda is item 2B, which is in regards to a discussion approval recommended debt exclusion funding article for fall town meeting. So just some kind of background. So as we mentioned multiple times, for our funding article to be approved, it's essentially a two-step process. So the first step is having a warrant article at a town meeting, and it needs to be approved by 2/3 majority. Ideally, historically, that article in town meeting comes before the ballot question. And so what we're trying to do is align with the presidential election to ease the kind of burden on the town clerk. In order to do so, we'd like to have that fall town meeting prior to the November election ballot, so we can kind of have it in sequence. So what we'd be doing now is basically just making a general recommendation that we want to have a funding article, essentially a debt exclusion for fall's town meeting. The timing of that town meeting would fall upon the select board and town to schedule, but this is just us going on record that we want to be on there. So kind of with that, overview, I'll just open it up for people if they have questions or, discussion points, and I'll do my best to answer, or Sean Burke or Seamus can jump in too. And if any questions, raise your hand or just speak out. Pretty casual tonight. Yep, Carrie.
So what does that mean from a timeline for us to get that article together for submission?
Yeah, so we'll touch on the timing for the ballot article after this, but as far as the town meeting article, it would depend on when they set the town meeting. We'd have to work backwards to when the essentially warrant goes to print, closing the warrant, and then kind of work backwards to there. So my guess is if we're talking, September, October town meeting, to have that article ready for us in front of the warrant committee, it would probably be sometime in August, would be my guess if we're doing a fall town meeting, September to October, typically like a little over a month before.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? And if none, essentially this would be similar to the letter. We just look for a motion to approve this, and then essentially it would put us on record that that's our intention for this coming fall.
So just to be clear, what we're doing is to agree that we're going to have some language go into the warrant. We have not created that language yet, correct?
That's 100% correct. It's basically just stating our intention. So, after this, we can, we'll be developing what that funding article would look like, a dollar amount for it, and basically the overall legal language that we would put into the warrant.
I move the motion for this language to be, for the process to start.
Second.
Okay. And just clarification on your motion, Aqua, you're recommending a debt exclusion article for funding at the fall town meeting.
Yes, as my motion covers all that Sean just mentioned.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion or questions or anything like that for this portion? All right. Hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote. Mark Loring?
Yes.
Aqua Bond?
Yes.
Carrie Hurley?
Yes.
Scott Tereshek,
Yes.
Tim Lombard.
Yes.
There we go. And Glenn Hoffman.
Yes.
And Sean O'Rourke, yes. All right. Item 2C, which is discussion approval recommended debt exclusion ballot question for November election. So similar to the prior agenda item that we just talked about, this one is more for the overall ballot question that would align with the presidential election. So timing on this one, the ballot question has to go to the Secretary of State at a certain point early in August. So for us, we're essentially looking for the Select Board to recommend this or vote in favor of putting it on the ballot. So a couple of things to point out on that is like their recommendation or their vote to put it on the ballot doesn't really show support for the article. It just basically puts it on the ballot, essentially allowing the town to vote on this subject. So essentially, that's essentially what we're requesting right now is that our debt exclusion article would be on the November ballot that would allow the town to vote on this. The percentage is a majority percentage, so it's 51% or greater than 50% for it to pass. So essentially, following similar language that we'll be developing for the debt exclusion article for the warrant, we'll be doing similar debt exclusion language for this ballot, and that would would have to go to the Secretary of State early, I believe the first week of August. So, for us now, timing is kind of critical. And that's essentially what, I'm working on for us right now is stating our intention for that. So again, open it up, any questions or comments or anything like that that anybody may have. None? All right. If there are none, essentially at this point, similar to before, it would just take a motion and then vote to approve.
So I'm happy to move the motion. A motion to approve approaching the Select Board to include a ballot for debt override question on the November ballot.
No, it's basically it wouldn't be approaching the Select Board. It's our recommendation that it goes on the November ballot. So after we make a vote to recommend it, we would then present that to the Select Board, and at that point it would kind of be in their court to approve this. I'm assuming the school committee will do a similar vote to what we're doing tonight too to recommend these. That for us right now is just basically stating our intentions.
Okay. Motion to reflect the correct terminology. To put a question on the ballot?
Recommended debt exclusion for the ballot for the funding of a new school.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
I'll second it.
All right, seconded by Scott. Any further discussion? Tim, I saw your hand up.
Hopefully you can hear me right now, but my concern was Carrie's motion indicated an override, which my understanding is that is different than a debt exclusion. So I wanted to make sure we were voting on the correct language, but I think you guys have it right now, so I lowered my hand. Thank you, Carrie.
Yep.
Thank you, Sean and Tim.
Right. Any other questions? All right, and hearing no more, close discussion. We'll go to a vote. Another roll call vote. So, Mark Loring.
Yes.
Akua.
Yes.
Scott Tereshek.
Yes.
Carrie Hurley.
Yes.
Tim Lombard.
Yes.
And Glenn Hoffman.
Yes.
And Sean O'Rourke, yes. All right. With that, we're on to item 3, which is adjournment. So open for any motion to adjourn, and then we can do another roll call.
I botched the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Glenn. All right. Roll call vote. So Mark Loring,
Yes.
Carrie Hurley,
Yes.
Akua Bong,
Yes.
Scott Tereshak,
Yes.
Yes.
Tim Lombard,
Yes.
and Glenn Hoffman.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you all. Have a good night.